Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 452 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Maxwell Ivey. Wow, is he an inspiration to all of us with his What's Your Excuse brand? He's a sight impaired person, and he's everywhere. I even saw his book cover on Pinterest Japan version. So he's really prolific. So we'll bring him on in a minute. Now, how'd you like to send you big checks and PayPal and gold bullion or however else you want other than crypto? Because I don't understand that crap. But if you're in my affiliate program, you can get referral fees for telling other people about me. And I hardly ever get refunds because I do really high quality work and services. So I love sending those checks to people. So email me and check it out if you'd like to be involved. All right, grab a copy of our automation ebook. It's you go to screwthecommute.com/automate free, and I'm just going to say you're welcome right now because you will thank me if you use this darn book. It's allowed me to handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 60,000 customers without pulling my hair out. So grab a copy for yourself, and while you're at it, grab a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. And the book is at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And of course, we'll have this in the show notes along with all of Maxwell's great stuff. Now, I usually tell you about my school here, but I want to tell you about something big, way bigger than my school that involves my school. I'm involved in a program where we're helping people with physical disabilities go through my school. And it's a pilot program. And when we make it successful, I'm actually taking a grant writing course so I can really ramp it out really big and help loads and loads of people with physical disabilities. I've always thought that my school was perfect for them because they can learn from a distance and they can legitimately work from home, which I have known for 44 years since I've been working from home, but online for 27 of those years. But now since the pandemic, everybody is like, oh yeah, you can work from home. I didn't know that. Yeah, you can. So I said, this is the chance to roll this out. So we're doing a big GoFundMe program to help finance it. And we're going to hire several people with physical disabilities to help run it. And so please watch for that announcement coming up soon. All right, let's get to the main event. Maxwell Ivey is known around the world as the blind blogger. He's transformed himself from a blind, failed carnival owner to a respected amusement equipment broker to a self-help author, motivational speaker, and online publicity rock star. He's the host of What's Your Excuse and founder of the What's Your Excuse or WYEY network. And you can find him at theblindblogger.net. Maxwell, are you ready to screw?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready. I've been doing this for years, man. It's just now it's popular, you know?
Screwing, absolutely. Yeah.
At least the online version.
Yeah, exactly.
At least the commute, So that is one of the beautiful things about the pandemic is so many people have realized that they don't have to work from home. What's even more beautiful is so many employers have realized that their help doesn't have to come to work in an office building. And it looks like maybe the next generation of work in this country that a large majority of people will be able to live in small towns or suburban communities and not have to worry about traffic and driving back and forth. So, this may be like the whole beginning of a screw the commute generation, so to speak.
Yeah, revolution. Yeah. So, it's well, like I said, I've lived it my entire business life long before the internet started. And my resume looks BS because I've just done so many things when you're not in the car, wasting time and making somebody else rich. So you have got lots of things going on here, but tell them about your publicity program for people.
Right. Well, I have built my brand from being online. It started 8 years ago, mainly because I didn't have an easy way to get out of my house and go to and from networking events or to meet people face to face. So I started doing radio and podcast interviews. I eventually realized that what I was doing for myself in self-defense was something that other people needed, and it's become a service. So now I teach people how to be great podcast guests. I do the outreach and book them on shows. So all they have to do is show up and have a great conversation. I mentor them in their businesses, coach them as online media personalities, and promote their interviews and appearances on my social media and my email list. So it's become a thing. And since I still don't have a really good name to call it, I just say that I'm an online media rock star and leave it at that.
There you go. Yeah. And the podcasting arena, I mean, I do way more of them now than radio interviews, and I've been doing this for a long time. But I like the podcast better because a lot of radio interviews, even though they are kind of posting them a little bit on their websites, the podcast lasts forever. So you get people calling you 3 years later to do stuff and buy stuff. So I love the podcasting arena, and a lot of people don't know how to book themselves, and you already have a leg up on that of good connections. So I encourage people to check that out. Where would they go to check? Just theblindblogger.net?
Right.
Yeah.
They can find everything from there. As a professional online business person, somebody who's really successful with this, you don't ever want to push people to rented property. Always send them back to the website or send them back to where, they're going to find your content and not somebody else's. But I agree with you on what you said about radio, but for one more important reason. Even now, a lot of radio interviews are still 15 minutes or less.
Mm-hmm.
And on a podcast interview, I'm generally going to get 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes more than that. And so you get a better opportunity to connect with the host, and as a result, to connect with the host's audience. And that's just not something you do in 13 minutes on a radio program or a national television interview.
Yeah, or if you're that's if you're lucky, it could be 3 minutes. It could be
Yes.
3 minutes and 30 seconds, and you're gone. So they're on to something else. So now you've really had your fingers in a lot of stuff. Tell us about this carnival. How'd you get into the carnival business? And you did correct me when I was talking to you about this earlier. I said, well, I guess being blind, you're probably not a trapeze artist. And you said, no, that's a circus, you big dummy. You didn't say big dummy.
No, I didn't say that last part.
But yeah,
I got into the carnival business the way most everybody gets into it. You were either born into it or married into it. So I'm third generation carny, and I have a cousin whose family is still operating in the business. They have a large show that travels from Corpus Christi to Nebraska and back every year, Wagner's Kitty Carnival. And they're still in the business. His sons, and I'm sure his grandkids will be in the business. And so that's how I got into the carnival business. After my dad's death, we realized that we weren't going to be able to keep our show going. So we connected up with my uncle's carnival, and I just really didn't have a place on his Midway. So I started this website called the Midway Marketplace. It's still out there. I'm still helping people sell used amusement equipment. It's midwaymarketplace.com. And the really cool thing about it is I didn't have the first clue what I was doing. This was 2007, which was before WordPress, Wi-Fi, or Facebook. And I'm a blind guy with no money, skills, or talent, or even really good equipment. And I just had to figure out a way. So I had to figure out how to get the website online at first, which meant for me, I had to teach myself how to code HTML.
Oh, geez.
Yes, for anybody who's ever done that, you know how bad it is, and you know how thankful I am WordPress eventually came along. And then, you have to figure out, how do you recruit clients, and what do you charge them? And, how do you tell people about their stuff? So writing copy, social media when it came along, email list building, just one new thing after another that I had to learn. And basically I had to learn it because I didn't have anybody else to do it. And so most of the time, if Max didn't do it, it wasn't getting done. Now, I was able to connect with friends either by email or phone or online and get help over the course of my journey from a lot of amazingly talented people, but I hardly ever paid them. They generally volunteered or did things on installments, or they did them in exchange for me doing stuff for them that I was good at. But, because I was taking on all these difficult challenges, people started saying, hey, Max, what you're doing is really inspiring. We are just amazed by the way you take on these difficult challenges. And they encouraged me to share more about being an entrepreneur who happens to be blind. And that led to the blindblogger.net. Now, I didn't choose the name. It was given to me by people on LinkedIn who said, Max, we've been calling you the blind blogger for 2 years. So if you're going to start a website, that's who you ought to be. And thankfully, I was smart enough to say thank you and run with it. And it became a thing. It's become a brand. And as a result, a lot of people over the years have said, Max, if you can do this stuff, then what's my excuse? So that kind of led to the whole What's Your Excuse brand that you mentioned earlier. And, now that I'm the blind blogger, I've written 4 books. I'm working on a 5th. I've traveled the country solo. I sing in public, do public speaking, coaching, traveling. And I'm basically just up for whatever comes next. And the next thing for me, of course, is going to be this What's Your Excuse podcast network, where I'm going to be helping other people with disabilities launch their own podcasts and hopefully turn those podcasts into businesses. So it sounds like me and you have something in common, even though, we kind of are intersecting at this point where we're both trying to do things to help people with disabilities. That's just weird. It's amazing. It's crazy how the internet can work that way sometimes.
Well, the universe, too,
Yes.
regardless of the internet. But it's so inspiring because it's hard enough for me to get sighted people to do all the stuff you just rattled off, and I'm gonna send them.
I like to remind the sighted people that I don't do it all at the same time, and I don't do it all every day. I do what has to be done on a given day, depending on the project I'm working on. So, yeah, these are things I'm capable of, that I have done and am doing. But, I'm not doing 13 things at one time for anybody that just got depressed listening to me.
Well, there's two things that stand out to me. One, I kind of doubt you're going to tell us how to win stuff at a carnival. That's
I would say only go to the midways at state and multiple county fairs. That would be my suggestion.
The little ones, you never win anything.
I'd avoid the smaller operators. That's the best advice I could give you.
And then the other thing, I was looking at one of your websites and I saw this little choo-choo train. I was thinking, man, that'd be great to have at my house, to go around my house. but I don't know if there's enough electricity to haul my butt around the outside.
We can get you set up. I got a friend out in California that has one, but it costs you about $20,000 plus dragging it across the country.
Yeah, it's probably an Amtrak train. And speaking of Amtrak, you got to be. I mean, you're not inspirational. I figured. I was looking at your stuff. You're just crazy, because you got won some kind of award with Amtrak, and you could go anywhere you wanted. And as a blind person, you picked New York City. And I saw that. I'm thinking, this guy is legitimately crazy. I said, I go up there. I normally carry a gun all the time. I've got massive self-defense training. The worst place on earth to go is New York City when they had loads of police. Like, you go down the street and the cab drivers know you're a tourist, so they run you to death. And then you're afraid to get on the subway. You never know where you're going to end up. And then they said, oh, just walk to your hotel. It was like 100 blocks, and each one was bigger than my hometown. So you're crazy, man. So tell us about that award.
Yeah, well, when I won that award and started telling people about it, half the people said I was amazing, and the other half said I was nuts. So you're in that half of the community. So. And my own brother even said, Max, you won it. Be happy that you won it and sell the tickets. Don't go. My own brother, Michael, in Florida, he's like, I don't know why you want to go. He said, because, the tickets were worth quite a bit of money, apparently, for a private coach to New York and back. But I told him no. So what happened was I entered a competition that called the Amtrak Writers in Residence, which they have discontinued, but thousands of people would enter every year. They would submit a long writing sample, and they would pick 24 people and give them the opportunity to go anywhere they wanted to in the U.S. Now, to me, there are two really important things about this story. One is that I entered in the first place because when I read the blog post about the award, it had a link to their previous winners. And I go and I click that link, which I advise anybody in that situation, do not click the link and look at past winners. All it'll do is make you think that, no, I shouldn't be entering. It's because there were people who had plays performed off Broadway. There were people with multiple book awards. There were people who had Amazon bestseller. And I'm like, Max, these people are better than you. And I was actually humming the theme song, the old song from Sesame Street, which is, which one of these things is not like the others, as I was reading those. But eventually I said, Max, your thing that you've always fallen back on is, if you don't ask, they can't say yes. So I filled out the form and sent it off. I included the first 3 chapters of my first book, which was titled Leading You Out of the Darkness into the Light, A Blind Man's Inspirational Guide to Success. So I sent them the first few chapters of that book. They picked me. They told me I could go anywhere I wanted, which to me is the second most important thing, because I have not always been the guy I am now. So that was one of the first times where I said, Max, I'm not going to go where everybody expects me to go. I'm not going to go where it would be easy, where I have family and, I know I'd be taken care of. Where does Max want to go? And I just said, I've never been to the Northeast. I've never been to much of the East Coast. And I want to go to New York City. And so that's what I did. And yeah, it probably was a little crazy in hindsight, but I think that I benefited, 1, because I was blind, 2, because I'm kind of a large man, and 3, I just have this attitude that I'm going to meet the people that are going to help me along my way in some capacity. So I don't want to spoil the book for people, but just a couple of examples of while I was in New York. I had a cabbie try to give me his umbrella. I had 2 blokes from the UK pay for me to ride a pedal cab from Rockefeller Center to the Wyndham Theater because they couldn't figure out how to get me out of there to a taxi. Because New York doesn't allow taxis to pick up at Rockefeller Center. You have to walk a long way away from there to get a cab. So, just a couple examples where, you're like, yeah, New York is a crazy, dangerous place, but, a lot of people were nice to me while I was there.
Well, that's awesome. But now, what's the deal with America's Got Talent? You jumped in that too.
No, I didn't. I entered myself to The Voice.
The Voice.
Yeah, just recently. No, okay. I applied to America's Got Talent and never heard back from it. That was before I entered the Amtrak award contest. Okay. But just recently, I applied to The Voice because this year they were offering a virtual casting opportunity. And I sent them a video of me singing The River by Garth Brooks, which is my theme song. It's the song I sing about as good as I sing any song. And they sent me back a 1-sentence email saying, sorry, Mr. Ivey, but your version of The River isn't good enough for us. And I was like, okay, I was hoping for more explanation or maybe a reason as to why. So now, I love to sing on my podcast and when I do public speaking. So now when people ask me about my singing or they tell me how good I am, and some of them even say how great you are, I go, yeah, but I'm not good enough for The Voice. And then we have a nice conversation and we make fun of The Voice for a while.
Yeah, and you invented with this pandemic, you pivoted again and invented a face mask.
Well, I had some friends help me to come up with the blind blogger face mask, and I thought it would sell better than it did because it has the what's your excuse on there, and we marketed it as if come on people, the mask is going to protect us all and help us all through the pandemic. So what's your excuse for not wearing one? But not all campaigns work like we want them to, as you know. But the experience of creating it and hoping that a few people decided to wear their mask because of it, and maybe we saved one life, or maybe we made one person's life less difficult because they didn't get COVID. That's what I like.
Or maybe you made them smile because when I saw it, I was like, oh man, that is cool. Yeah. And of course,
now that we're starting to come out of COVID, who knows what the next thing will be? Although, with the number of people in Asia that were wearing masks already because of air quality, who's to say that that the face mask is a thing of the past. I mean, whether we wear them or not in the U.S. for COVID, there are a lot of places around the world where they wear masks just because they really don't have a choice, given the population density and the air quality.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get one because the next time I rob a bank, I'm big too. They might think it was you.
Anything could happen. And who knows, if the police come to my house, I'll be sure to tell them how to get a hold of you.
I don't think they listen to this podcast.
But that would be something. Not that I'm encouraging anybody to do it, but that could be a viral moment for my brand.
Yeah,
somebody
exactly.
wearing one of my masks during a robbery. People, that's the kind of stuff us marketing, us online business people, that's the kind of stuff we think about.
That's guerrilla marketing.
Somebody robbing a bank with my mask. Now that could be something.
Exactly. So just wait outside the prison when people get released, because they all go back anyway, and just hand them out to people.
You know what I wish I could find somebody who could hook me up with selling my books in prisons, or get some of the prisons to buy my motivational books. I think that would be cool, but I don't currently have a connection for that. That's one of the few places I don't know who to ask.
Well, yeah, but if you robbed the bank, you would have an inside connection.
No. I'm gonna help you out with that. You know how they tell people in a shooting situation, run, hide, fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whenever I hear that, I'm going, okay, I don't run or hide well, and I've never been in a fight in my life. So what do I do?
Spit on them. No, you can't. You got the mask on.
But yeah, I could see it, but who knows? Maybe there's somebody listening that works at a prison, because I'd be willing to donate a few copies if it would help somebody, not go back inside again.
Just call them up. Just call up the prison and say they have. I'm sure most modern prisons have at least a small library. So, yeah.
You mentioned seeing a picture of my book cover on the Japanese version of Pinterest,
right?
So really, it might be cool to get somebody to send me a picture of one of my books on a shelf in a prison library. That might be cool.
Yeah, and you got lots of books. How many you got?
4 so far.
4. Yeah, I saw on Amazon the author page. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we'll ask Max, does he have any kind of work routine, morning routine to get through the day, or how he stays motivated. So, folks, I normally tell you about my mentor program, but I'm going to get rid of that for today. A lot of you regular listeners know about that. But I just want to go back to this program that we're in the midst of to help people with disabilities. I mean, the stories are just something. If you could go to the Facebook page for the Internet Marketing Training Center, 3 of the candidates are listed there, and people were dropping comments like crazy, wishing them well and encouraging them. So that would be a beautiful thing that you could do to help this out. And then if you are so inclined to contribute anything, on crowdfunding campaigns, if people contribute a lot right at the beginning, even if it was only a couple dollars, the campaign looks better to people and gets higher ranking on GoFundMe, and a lot of other people could contribute to really ramp the program even bigger than I imagined, which is will help more people. So check that out. It's the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia is the website, but the Facebook page is facebook.com and then /Internet Marketing Training Center. Check it out. Say something to the folks to really encourage them, and we're going to make this a program that changes people's lives forever. All right, let's get back to the main event. We got Maxwell Ivey here. He's the blind blogger at theblindblogger.net. And he's got lots of cool stories of his exploits around the world and what he's been doing to help people with publicity and so forth. So Max, what's a typical day look like for you?
This is one of my least favorite questions, because I do not have a typical day.
Well, that should be easy, then.
I wish I could say I was one of those people, that rolls out of bed at 4:30 and does an hour of exercise and takes a cold shower and never checks his email, and just all the things that the quote coaches tell you should do. But One of the few things I do every day is I always take like the first 5 minutes when I wake up to do nothing but to just basically feel my body and think, and maybe clear my mind before I start worrying about what I got to do for the day. And then I try real hard to get at least 30 minutes of exercise in a day, which is generally riding a stationary bike, or what I like to refer to as my bike that doesn't go anywhere. And speaking of marketing potential, I keep trying to convince the major interactive bike companies that they need to provide one to the blind blogger for so I can evaluate it for accessibility and promote it. But so far, I'm going to keep using my old. It's not one of those '50s models that hurts your butt.
Right.
It has no bells or whistles. So basically, I listen to audio books or talk to myself while I ride it.
Well, like you said, if you don't ask, they can't say yes.
Yeah, I ask all the time, to the point that there are now people who think I'm asking for stuff even when I'm not. A while back, I connected with the marketing person from Bugatti, and that's a maker of some really expensive sports cars.
Right.
And in my reply to connecting with, I said something like, someday I hope to go for a ride in one. And he thought I was asking for a media test drive. And I had to write back to him. I go, look, I don't even cover this arena, so I don't know why you would think that I would be asking for a test drive. I said I was basically just saying something like, maybe someday I'll have that kind of money and I can buy one and hire a driver, or I'll have a friend who owns one, or something along those lines. But if you ask for enough things, whether that be asking for help or asking for opportunities, eventually people will think you're asking even when you ain't.
Well, that's good. They might say yes even when you didn't think they were. So
yeah.
The Bugatti people missed a beautiful opportunity there to let you drive one. That would be a media event of the world right there.
You might be right. But I don't know. But before I forget about it, that kind of leads me into something I talk about a lot, and I want to make sure I talk about, because I find that a lot of people that are working, at a side hustle, or they're starting a business, or they're thinking about starting one, is they think they have to do it all by themselves. And if you try to do it all by yourself, yeah, some people can accomplish that. But for the most part, we aren't meant to do things in a solitary form. We're social people. The big things that we want to do in life usually happen quicker, and they happen with more joy if you allow other people to be part of the journey and to be part of the story. And so I like to share this expression with people because I think it helps really unlock the whole fear that surrounds asking for help or asking for opportunities. Because, people, they're just scared they're going to look bad if they ask for help. So here's what I like to tell them is, when you refuse to ask, you rob the other person of the joy they would have received from helping you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
And it also applies for opportunities, because, you might be that exact perfect person for a podcast interview or a business opportunity, but if you don't ask them, they don't know about you. So again, you could be making somebody else's life more difficult by not reaching out, not asking for help, not asking for the opportunity. And so I like to make sure that I get that across in every conversation, especially interviews like this, because it is so important. I feel like there are so many people who quit. They get frustrated, they get tired, they get depressed because they're trying to do it all by themselves and they're not making the progress they want to make.
This is a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. It kind of, and one other quote that I wanted to get in from you is, I would rather do something pretty well than not do it at all while I wait for things to be ideal. I love that. It's kind of a spin-off of what you just said. You just got to go and do it and try and keep trying. And you are just such a perfect example of that, and inspiration to everybody. So the people that noticed that you were an inspiration, they were right. So thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and for scheduling me and for what you're trying to do for people with disabilities. And I sincerely hope that y'all will either if you are somebody with disability, take him up on the offer. It is a legitimate opportunity to change your life. If you know somebody with a disability, be sure they see the link. And if you have a dollar or two you can afford to contribute, go over there and make the donation, because as he says, the more visits, shares, and donations he gets in the first 24 hours, 48 hours, first week, determines how many people on GoFundMe will see that going forward. So, what happens this week is critical to what's going to happen long run, and his ability to make this opportunity available to even more people with disabilities. So, hope y'all will check that out. And just one last thing from me, Tom. I wouldn't be where I'm at without the ability to go on podcasts and radio and share my experiences and teach the life lessons that I've learned along the way. So without people like you, there wouldn't be the blind bloggers. There wouldn't be hey, what's your excuse, or no excuses. So I just want to make sure you know how important you are to my journey and to so many other people's journeys, and let you know that just how much I appreciate you.
Well, that's really awesome, and I appreciate you saying that. And Max can help you if you're listening to this and want to get on the podcast and do them. He can help you ramp that up really quickly. And just think, one of the best things he told you this whole podcast that you could use the money to give to my program is don't play at small carnies. Only go to the big ones.
Oh man, I would think you would pick up on that one important point.
Well,
but
it's money related. Yeah, absolutely.
It's money related. There you go. Yeah. Well, I've had fun with you. This has been one of the more entertaining conversations I've had in a while that was recorded, at least. And I hope you have a great day. I hope this school you're doing is very successful, and soon, I'm sure that you will make this happen, because that's just the kind of person you are. But with other people's help, it can happen a lot sooner.
That's for sure, and we appreciate it. So, okay, well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you all in the next episode. Make sure you visit theblindblogger.net. We'll see you later.